You've been doing everything right. You don't spend much. You avoid stupid purchases. You save money every month. And yet, you're still not getting ahead. Your bank account grows. But somehow, your life doesn't. Here's what nobody told you. Saving money, the thing you were taught was responsible, smart, the right move, might be the exact reason your life isn't changing. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why. We're going to cover 3 things most financial content will never tell you. First, why saving feels like progress but functions like a slow leak. Second, what's actually happening to your money while it sits there doing nothing. And third, the one mental shift that separates people who quietly build wealth from people who save their whole lives and end up with barely enough. But before we get there, you need to understand something that will make you look at your bank account completely differently. There's a story most of us were told growing up. Work hard, spend less than you earn, save the rest. And that story feels true. It sounds responsible. It sounds like discipline. But here's the thing about stories. They're not always telling you the whole picture. Saving money feels like doing something. Every month the number goes up. You see it. It's real. It's yours. And the brain loves that. It loves visible progress. It loves certainty. But what your brain is not showing you is what's happening on the other side of that number. Because while your savings account goes up, the value inside it is quietly going down. Not all at once, not in a way you can feel on a Tuesday morning, but it's happening. And here's the uncomfortable part. The feeling of saving, that sense of safety, of control, is real. But the security it promises? That part is an illusion. You're not falling behind dramatically. You're just drifting, slowly, in the wrong direction. And you can't feel it until years have passed and you realize the life you were saving toward somehow got further away, not closer. Pause for a second. Think about the last time you checked your savings. You probably felt okay, but okay isn't a destination. Okay is just not noticing yet. Let's talk about inflation, not the political version, not the news version, the version that actually affects your life. Every year, things cost more, not because businesses are evil, not because of one politician or one policy, because that is simply how modern economies work. Money moves, prices rise, the purchasing power of a dollar shrinks. And here's what that means for you specifically. If you have $10,000 sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing, which most savings accounts do, that $10,000 buys less next year than it does today, and less the year after that. In 10 years, that money might have the purchasing power of $7,000 in today's terms. You didn't spend a dollar. You didn't lose anything visible, but you lost 30% of what that money could do for you. That's not a crash. That's not a scam. That's just what happens when money stands still in a world that keeps moving. And this is the part most people never fully absorb. Not investing is not the safe choice. It is a choice with a cost. You just don't get a notification for it. There's no alert that says your savings just lost another $40 of purchasing power this month. It disappears silently. And silence feels safe, even when it isn't. So if saving alone isn't enough, why do almost all of us default to it? Why does the advice that's slowly failing us feel so right? There's a psychological reason for that, and it's deeper than most people realize. The human brain is wired for one thing above everything else: avoiding loss, not gaining more, not growing, not building, not losing. Psychologists call this loss aversion, and it is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. We feel the pain of losing $100 almost twice as strongly as we feel the pleasure of gaining $100. Think about what that means for how you handle money. Saving feels safe because you can see it. It's there. It's yours. Nobody can take it. Investing feels dangerous because there's a chance, even a small one, that the number goes down. And your brain treats that possibility like a threat. So it chooses the savings account. Every time. Because the savings account never goes down. But here's what your brain is missing. The savings account does go down. Just not in a way you can see on a screen. It goes down in purchasing power, in opportunity. In years of compounding you'll never get back. The risk of investing feels visible and immediate. The risk of not investing is invisible and slow. And we are terrible at responding to invisible, slow risks. We eat badly for decades and only act when the doctor says something serious. We ignore small relationship problems until they become massive ones. And we save money for years without growing it, until one day we're 50 and the math no longer works. This isn't a character flaw, it's biology. But understanding it is how you start overcoming it. Let me say this plainly. The version of safe you were taught was designed for a world that no longer exists. The rules changed. The advice didn't. We need to redefine risk. Because right now, most people think risk looks like this, putting money somewhere it could go down, but real risk, the kind that actually ruins financial lives, looks like this. Spending 30 years being careful and arriving at retirement with not enough. That's the risk nobody talks about. The risk of being disciplined in the wrong direction. Of being responsible with a strategy that was never built to create freedom. Think about two people, same income, same age, same starting point. Person A saves aggressively for 30 years, never invests, never takes risk, finishes with a savings account that inflation has slowly eroded. Person B saves, but then puts that money to work, into assets that grow, into things that compound over time, accepts short-term uncertainty for long-term movement, same discipline, completely different outcome. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck. It's understanding what money actually is. Money isn't meant to be stored. It's meant to be deployed. It's a tool. And a tool that sits in a drawer doesn't build anything. So what does deploying money actually look like? And if you're not a finance expert, if you don't know the market, does any of this even apply to you? Yes. And here's why. This isn't about becoming a trader. It's not about timing markets or picking the next big thing. It's about a fundamental change in how you think about money. Savers ask one question, how much can I keep? Allocators ask a different question, where can I put this so it grows? That's it. That's the shift. It's not complicated, but it changes everything. Because once you stop thinking about money as something to hold on to and start thinking about it as something to put to work, you start seeing options you couldn't see before. You start asking, what do I know? What's in my area? What can I understand well enough to put money into without gambling? Could be index funds that track the market over decades. Could be a small business. Could be a skill that multiplies your income. Could be real estate. Could be a side project that compounds. The vehicle matters less than the mindset. The mindset is money is supposed to move. And your job isn't to protect it from moving. Your job is to choose where it moves wisely. Now, this doesn't mean you stop saving. Saving is still step one. You need a financial cushion. You need stability. You need to not panic sell something because an emergency hit and you had no buffer. But saving is the foundation, not the strategy. It's what you do before you build, not the building itself. The wealthiest people in the world are not great savers. They're great allocators. The question is not how much you keep. It's how well you deploy. Here's where we land. You were not taught wrong on purpose. The advice was real for a different time, a time when savings accounts paid real interest, when inflation was predictable, when a pension meant you'd be okay. That world is gone. And holding on to its strategies while living in this world is what keeps smart, disciplined, hard-working people exactly where they started. You're not broke because you're careless. You might be stuck because you're too careful in exactly the wrong ways. The goal was never to have money sitting in an account. The goal was freedom, time, a life you actually chose, and money that doesn't move doesn't take you anywhere. So here's what I want you to sit with. Not anxiety, not panic. Just a question. What would change if you stopped thinking about protecting your money and started thinking about putting it to work? Because that question, when you actually sit with it, changes everything. If this hit differently than you expected, that means you were ready to hear it. The next step isn't complicated. It's just one decision: to stop waiting for your savings to save you.